This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be putting on an awesome show with all different actors and animals and settings, and we're going to be doing it in a Colosseum. And over the course of the game we're going to be trying to invite some nobles to our arena, trying to grow that Colosseum to get more people, to get more money, and that's what we're looking at today. This is Colosseum. This is from Tasty Minstrel Games, and it's for 3 to 5 players. Takes 60 to 90 minutes to play. Let's see how it plays. I'll see you on the other side. In Colosseum, you're trying to put on different shows, and different ones like Ode to Aurora will need 2 musicians and a scenery, where the Drama Ultima needs 3 comedians, a torch, and 2 scenery. If you're able to put them on fully, you'll get a certain amount of points. If you can put it on with just a less amount of cast, you'll still get some points. So over the course of the game, you're trying to put on shows and trying to put on better shows as the game goes on, because your score will be the best show you put on inside the entire game. Now at the beginning of the game, you'll start with a certain amount of starter tokens, depending on the amount of players, to help seed what you're trying to put on. Now each person gets a player aid, which has their color and a different character and helps them through the game. But each of these they're huge, they fit on the table well, they're easy to read, but all of them have, the different colors, little different characters there, so everybody feels a little bit different, even though they don't really do anything differently. And also on the back, it shows you all the possible shows that you'll be able to purchase and then be able to put on over the course of the game. Now here's the board setup. We have for 3 players. As you'll notice on the left and the right, you'll see purple and red stadiums to start the game. We'll see different nobles of senators and emperors around the board there, white, red, and purple. And then in the middle, we'll see the marketplace, which we'll be using to bid to try to get different actors and such to put on our shows. Now the game itself is 5 rounds long, and each round there's 5 phases. The first phase is investment, where everyone can go around and make 1 investment. And you might be doing things like putting in season tickets, which will bring more people to your stadium and give you more points each round. You might put in a Emperor's Loge, which will allow you to roll 2 dice instead of 1, which will help you get more nobles into your arena. Now these nobles that move around, actually, it does come with some stickers that you might want to use to put on. I left them out for now. They're silk screened if you don't put them on there. You might actually enlarge your stadium, so now it's actually 3 big, and this is important because some shows need a larger stadium. And you might even be buying another show. So you can only do 1 of these investments by default of your thing every round. And if you look at the back of the player aid on the bottom, you'll see the 3 on the left column. You need to have 3 stadium size to be able to put on those, and a 4 stadium size to put on the other ones. And obviously the bigger ones are worth more, they cost more to put on, and they need more resources. Now when buying new shows in this investment phase, you'll be using money. And money in this game are these awesome, chunky, heavy metal coins. They are amazing. You'll start with these 2 starter ones randomly, and then you can buy ones that, again, are 3 large or 4 large. If they're available, you can take them. If somebody already has them, you cannot. And basically it tells you what they are, but you can buy one of these as the investment action for that turn. Phase 2 is essentially an auction where somebody's going to point at one of these stalls here, and they will basically bid, and you have to bid a minimum of 8 coins, and then you go clockwise. If you pass, you're out, and the winner will be able to take the one that was being voted, that auctioned for that turn. If the person who did not start this turn, the active player, win this, they then get to pick one of these to then auction off as the action player. So you don't get to refill this until the active player has won an auction. At that point, these will all get refilled. We'll go clockwise to the next player who's the active player, and everybody can then try to bid on it again. This is different from the original version where you could only buy 1 thing per round, where now you can bid for every different active player. Once everyone's been the active player once, then the auction will end. We'll go to the next phase. The next phase is trading. You can trade tokens and money with other people. For example, let's say I really want to get the scenery to get the full 7 points, and I could trade this. Maybe I trade this for a scenery tile, or you make a deal and you get it, and then everyone gets to trade. You're supposed to trade in turn order, but we found it speeds up the game highly if everyone's just trading free willy-nilly. then we're going to produce events. And so the first player, by default, you roll one of these dice. However, if you have the loads that you bought in any of the investment rounds, you get to roll 2 dice. So if you get to roll 2 dice, I can either take one player, one of these different characters, the senator, the emperor, and I could move them around, trying to get them in here, because the more of the nobles I have in my arena, the more points it's going to score. So I can take any one person and move them this total sum, or I can move any 2 of them these different dice. So this could move 4 and this could move 6. Let's say actually I move this guy 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's past the red player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now these would stand up normally, but I'm just kind of showing you what they look like. So now I have that noble in my arena. Now if you're able to move any noble on any of these colored starting noble spots, you get an Emperor's Medal. These can be turned in for multitude different things. You can get just more points when you put on a show. You can move any one of these nobles 1 to 3 in either direction to get them more into your arena, or you can turn it in for $6. Then we'll see how much my show produces. In this case, I have all 3, so I would have the full 7 points. Again, if I did not have this, I'd be 1 short and I would get 5 points. If I did not have this, I'd be 2 short and I'd get 3 points. I need at least 1 to put on the show, but let's say we had all 3. I would get 7 points. Then we can decide if we get extra points. Again, I could turn in one of these Emperor medals to get me 3 additional points. The highest point total every round is getting a podium. If you have that, you'll get an additional 3 points. If you had bought these season tickets in the investment phase, you'd get 5 points. If you had already produced a show, because once you're done with the show, it flips over, so in subsequent rounds, it's automatically a 5 extra points. So if you did any other shows, it's 5 points for that. If you have this noble here in your side, which I do now, it'd be another 5 points. This person would 3, the Emperor would get you 7 points. You can also earn extra points for being famous. Let's say I had 3 musicians and I had the most. If you have at least 3 and you have the most, you automatically gain this token, which is the musician famous token. If I then put on a show that uses musicians, I get a +4. But if someone else ends up getting more musicians than me, they can take this from me. So I could get 7 plus maybe 3 plus another 5 plus another 5 plus another 4, maybe plus another 5. So they start adding up over time. I would then flip this over to show that I've done it. I would take that much money, whatever the point total is that I got, maybe it was 25 or so. I would take money. I would get 25 in money, and then we would move up in the points. So let's say I had scored 9 on a previous round. If I scored higher than 9 this round, I would move this up to what that score is. You don't add your score. You're always putting this just at your highest show score. If I did a show that was lower, I wouldn't move this. So that is always just showing you what your best total show score is, and of course you're getting all the money from that show. And after everyone has produced a show, we do closing ceremonies. Everyone has to get rid of one of the tokens they used in the show. So let's say I get rid of this one, it would go out of the game. Whoever has the highest score at this point gets a podium. This is worth 3 points for every other show for the rest of the game. And then whoever's in last place gets to take any 1 token from the one in first place, then you go to the next round. You would do that for 5 rounds, and whoever's token is the furthest, which was the highest show they did, is the winner. All right, well, there is Colosseum. Now, I had played the original version one time. It was many years ago. We were really tired. I don't remember much about the experience. So I was excited to see this new version come back. People have been asking about it for a while. It's been super hyped by a lot of reviewers and media people out there saying how great it is, that it needs to come back. And finally it's back. So what do I think about it? First, let's talk about the components, the artwork and such. I know a lot of people online had a lot of uproar when they saw this new art. They didn't like it as much as the old art. Now, I do actually have a separate comparison video where I go through each of the components and everything about the game, the old version versus the new version. There's a link to that description below. If you want to see more about how they compare, go see that video. For a straight review here, components, this thing's awesome. This box is heavy. Oh my gosh. And a lot of it is those coins. So the production side of things here, great job. The player aids are awesome looking. They're big. I do have one complaint about the player aids though, is I really wish they had put the scarcity or the number of tiles on the back, because when you're trading and you don't know how many there are, you're constantly going back to the rule book, you're flipping it out to that page, you're leaving it out in front of everybody, and it worked okay, but it would have been much nicer having that on everybody's player aid. It's one of the production miscues they had here, was not putting the amount of tiles of each type on that player aid. But other than that, the player aid itself was great. Art's awesome. I like the art. I mean, it's going to be very subjective. You're either going to like it or you're not. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Components, those coins, oh my gosh, those coins are awesome. And I've even looked into buying some of these coins for some other games, and they're expensive. I mean, I've seen sets that have this many coins in it for like $40. It's like more than half of what this game costs. And it's the coins, they're awesome. So I really, really, really love the coins. I'd want to use those in pretty much every game that I can, take them out of Colosseum and play with them there. So the components and stuff, great job here. I think it's good. The game itself, I think it's okay. It's a good game. I didn't find it to be a great game, and I did have some problems with it. Overall, it does feel sort of family weight, or like a Gateway Plus, if you will. It's not that complex of a game. I like how you have different options of buying different things, and you're getting the Loge or the Season Pass or expanding, and you gotta do that to get better shows. And I like that. And it has that little roll and move where you're trying to roll and get the guys in the right spot. Has some interesting things there. I love negotiation and trading and auctions, and that's all here too. So you line up all these things, and you think I would absolutely love it, but I didn't. I think it's not a fault of the game, although it did feel a little aged, I would say. Which brings me to probably the biggest problem I had with the game. Two of them, actually. One is, you could be getting towards the 4th or 5th round, you could be working towards a specific show, and someone could buy that show before you on that round, and you're pretty much hosed for the rest of the game because you've been saving up, you've been working down these two types of things, and it's not even that someone could look at what you're going for and go, I'm going to buy that before you. No, it actually can happen without them even having a clue. Where it's like, I didn't really know you would get that one. They're like, well, I could have went for this one or this one. I just thought to go with this one. And it could completely just ruin your entire game because that was going to be the big show you're going to put on. Because there's a lot of different shows you could put on. But by the time the 4th or 5th round comes on, there's really not that many that you're going to be able to afford, that you have the right things to kind of go down. And your game is pretty much kaput at that point. And so it felt kind of aged in that regard, that it could be pretty much ending your game at that point. Another one is, sometimes you can play this game at the beginning of the 5th round, you can look at what's going on, you can be like, there's no way, I can't win this. I'm gonna have to play a whole round knowing there's nothing I can do to win. And so I think the game is okay. I think it's fragile to a point because of those two things. I didn't dislike the game. I like the auction aspect. Money's really tight in this game. By the way, I do like in this version that they allow you to bid. Every time there's a new active player, you can bid more. You can bid again and win something else. I like that you can get more things there than the original version. So overall, I think the game's fine. It's not a bad game, but I don't nearly think it deserves the hype that many people have given this thing. It's okay, it's fine. If you asked me to play it, I'd probably play it, but it's not going to be one that I'm going to be searching out soon because I feel it rubbed me the wrong way in a few different ways, and seeing how other people have had the same feelings that I had, it's okay. It's not bad. Love the components. The game's good, just not as fantastic as everyone else has made it out to be, and that's Colosseum.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter, making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.